ground yourself. This is something that me and my mom would do when I was younger. We'd always go outside in the grass in our bare feet and we would just stand in the grass. And just staying in the things that you love to do if you can, doing what you love, trying to stay positive.
You're listening to Artistry with Heart, a musician's wellness podcast. I'm Stephanie Lynn Bernards. On today's episode, we're joined by Colorado-born singer-songwriter Emmalese Schultz, who at just 17 years old is already becoming a force to be reckoned with both on and off the stage. 4 years ago, Emmalese was battling leukemia, a fight that tested her strength, resilience, and determination in unimaginable ways. Today, she's not only cancer-free, but she's also helping lead the expansion of TTA model and talent management into the music industry with the launch of its new label, TTA Sounds. In September of 2025, she released her debut single, Endless Ties, through TTA Sounds, and has since performed on Seacrest Studios and on several other platforms. The release of Endless Ties marks the beginning of what promises to be an incredible music career, but it also stands as a triumph of a journey defined by courage, resilience, and unwavering determination, even in the darkest seasons. Emma, I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be on the show.
You're such a powerful emerging voice in the musical world, and your life experiences bring a depth and sincerity to your artistry that is rare at any age. I
Thank
loved watching your
you.
performance at Seacrest Studios. It was so beautiful. Your spirit truly pours through your voice in a way that reflects the richness of your 17 years.
Thank you.
So, I would love to have you share with all of us kind of your background. Do you come from a musical family? How did you get started with music?
I mean, yes, I came out of the womb singing ever since I was a little girl. I've always wanted to sing. My family always tells me stories about how just like when I was like 3, run around the house just like singing random words. So, yeah, I mean, music has always been a huge highlight and passion of mine, and it's always something like I've known that I wanted to pursue.
Oh, that's awesome. So you just, like as you said, came out of the womb singing. That's amazing. You're like, this baby's not even screaming. She's just literally
She's
singing
just
her
hitting
heart out.
notes at this point. She's just
I know. I love that. I love that. That's the best. As
Yeah.
having a baby, I'm gonna also just use that when he cries because maybe that's what he thinks he's doing too.
I know, just singing.
Besides coming out of the womb singing, when do you remember first wanting to sing with maybe a choir or just your
Mhm,
original music?
mhm,
And when did you pick up the guitar, or was it guitar
mhm.
first or keys, or how did this get started for you?
It was the guitar first. Yeah, so I remember when I was younger, my parents put me in dance lessons because, like, they were like, "She needs something, she needs to dance or do something." So I was doing dance, and then my parents found out that, like, I sing and, like, I wanted to try to do vocal lessons and guitar lessons first. So I was like, "Can we switch me from dance to singing and guitar lessons?" So that's what they did, and at that time, I think I was, like, 7, when I first got into vocal lessons and guitar lessons.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
7, you grabbed the guitar, you're singing, you were ready to go. That's so
Mhm.
cool. And
Yeah.
then from there, you just played your own music, or was it more like inspiration from other artists? What
S
was your journey from there like?
So from there, I honestly didn't really write. I was always listening to Taylor Swift or Ariana Grande or Olivia Rodrigo, and I was singing, like, all of their music because the place that I sing at, they do, like, recitals. So I always participated in those, but at the time I wasn't writing or I didn't, like, have any of my own music. So I was just singing other people's stuff and playing other people's stuff until I turned, I think 13 is when I started to actually write my own stuff. And I mean, before that, I did write a couple things, but I mean, it was just random stuff that I never did anything with.
So you were covering artists that you were really inspired by and probably still are, which is that's the yeah, right? Like you named some serious powerhouse women and their music is so awesome. Are those kind of your trio like role models of music that you would just really love to follow in their footsteps?
I'd say yes. I also really love Sabrina. Like recently Sabrina's been a really big inspiration for me, and Tate McRae. But yeah, and Ariana. Ariana, she's always been my like, oh my gosh, I love her so much. She's always inspired me.
So fast forward, you
Mhm.
have all of this inspiration in your life and
Mhm.
you love writing music and
Mhm.
you're also inspired by these really incredible artists. And then, at 14 years old, you got diagnosed with leukemia. Is that right?
I was actually 13 when I got diagnosed.
Can you just take us back to that moment at the doctor's
Mhm.
appointment when, like, what was going through your mind at that moment? Did you
Yeah.
have any idea that that was something that was going to happen? Like, explain
Oh.
to us kind of what was that moment like?
Yeah, so I mean, I remember it was just so chaotic. Like, I mean, I thought that something like that could never happen to me because I mean, you learn about cancer as a kid, like, but I don't know, in my head, it was like not something that could never ever happen to me. So I never thought about it like that. And when I was going into the hospital for testing, me and my family, we were just like, oh, it's probably just like a dumb virus that you're fighting off. Like, blah, blah, blah. And so I remember when I got diagnosed, I was just like, I didn't know. They had said leukemia. They didn't say like cancer or anything. So I didn't know what leukemia was. I was like, oh, leukemia. I don't know what that is. And my dad was like, it's cancer. And that's when I was like, oh, wow, that's like, wow. I guess I was just really shocked. And it was scary. I mean, when you're put in a position like that, you have no choice but to try to stay positive and move forward. And so I channeled a lot of those feelings. That's mostly when I started to write my own music. I channeled a lot of those feelings into my music and I started to write about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
At what point did they catch it? Was it pretty like minimal at that point or
Mhm.
had it progressed or what was that all about?
Yeah, so it's actually a really crazy story because I was actually misdiagnosed with COVID at the time. And because this was when all of like COVID was going on. And so I was misdiagnosed and I didn't actually have COVID. And so they quarantined me for, like, 2 weeks, and my cancer was
Wow.
just rapidly growing. So
Wow.
yeah, and so then when I didn't get any better after the 2 weeks, we went back and they took blood and then they were like, "Yeah, your blood's kinda weird, we need to test you for this." And so that's what they did, and it was I guess, like, my cells were 95% cancer cells, so we got pretty close. It was really crazy.
Wow, for 95%? For people who don't understand what that term means, what does that mean?
I guess they just caught it really late because like, our cells are just I mean, I'm not, I guess, the most educated because it was such a long time ago when they had taught me about it, but that's what they told me is that it was 95% cancer, and so what I take that as is, like, if it gets to 100, then I mean I don't really know. They never told me, like, if it gets to 100, you know, but that's just what I assumed because they were like, "It's 95%. We need to get you, like, started on chemo literally tomorrow." And so it was just crazy. I remember they were like, "You're gonna wanna start chemo, like, now. You don't wanna wait any longer."
Wow, that is so insane. So at 13, this all happens, and then you undergo intensive chemo, and then what? Enter stage writing music at this point, or was this when you started to really use music as your therapy, or were you even at a point where you were able to do that? I mean, kind of just paint a little bit more of a picture so listeners can really understand what you've had to overcome to be where you are right now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely stayed in with, writing and singing and being consistent. I mean, the first couple months, I I really couldn't talk or sing or do, like, anything because one of the chemos that I had, it gave me, like, really bad mouth sores. So, like, talking and, like, really doing anything was so hard, but we overcame that, and here we are. When I was, I think, 14, I auditioned for Barbizon School of Acting, Modeling, Dancing, and Singing, and I took acting classes there for 6 months, and then when I graduated, it was, like, perfect timing because a scout was coming for all the graduates to scout people off to go to New York. I decided to sing and do a monologue for this scout, and then I was able to go to New York, and that's where I performed. I sang, I danced, I acted, and I modeled, and Anna was there, TTA was there, and that's how I got signed to them, and that's how all of this came about.
That's incredible that you were going through all of that in the background and also still pursuing all of your passions. That's pretty pretty rare and really really inspiring. And I wonder if continuing to do what you love despite what is happening is what maybe helped in those dark times. Do you think that's true or
Definitely, if I feel like it gave me something to look forward to and something to keep me going and keep my goals high.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I think sometimes the challenges that are presented in front of us are just opportunities to remember how strong we really are and to really dig into our why. And I think that, and I don't know how you feel, but in life, we're handed these challenges and we kind of have two options. We either are like, this is it for me. Like, I guess this is just my life now. Or it's like, oh, like this is an opportunity to like dig in more into what I believe I'm capable of and who I know I am. I think it's a gift in and of itself to want to heal, to want to be doing what we love. But anyway, I just really, really love that you used this crazy experience to shape your motivation and your inspiration and just pushed you even more. So that's just really, really amazing. And so I want to just, and you are officially cancer free now, right? Is that true?
Yes.
That's so amazing. That is
Yes.
such a huge accomplishment. Oh my gosh, that's
Mhm.
so awesome. I want to talk a little bit. When I was reading about your journey, I was really deeply moved by the steadfast support of your parents, Angie and Craig. And I'm just curious what this journey of healing and music has been like for you and your family.
I mean, my family has always been extremely supportive. Like, my brothers always used to tell me, you're gonna make it." Like, I have no doubt in my mind. I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." And my parents, they they just, they come with me to New York, they support me. They're a big part of, like, how all of this happened. Because without their support, I wouldn't be able to be here most likely.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think the more I look back on anything I've ever done, I look at how it just took an army of people to help me. And I think the dream has to live inside of us, but it also is just so true that there's so much support that we call upon. And that's like deeply the important part of family or community or however, like these mentors, which is a good segue too into hearing more about TTA and your work with Anna Estrada. I know you've been working really closely with Anna, who's the CEO of TTA, and I can tell she's just been such an incredible mentor and champion for you through all of this. So, can you just tell us more about your work with TTA? I know you mentioned that you got signed in New York when you performed, but yeah, just kind of talk about what that experience was like.
Yeah, so when I got signed to TTA, at first, they didn't really know that I wrote my own songs or that I was doing any of that, or that singing was, like, my main thing. So I mean, I was mostly just doing modeling and acting auditions for, like, maybe the first year that I was signed to them until, like, I wrote Endless Ties, and then it was actually my dad that sent them over the demo that I had put together. And he was like, "Hey, like, did you guys know Emma, like, wrote her and does her own music?" And they were like, "No, like, oh my gosh." And so that's when we started to brainstorm and to put Endless Ties out. We went out to New York in, like, November, I think, of 2024. Yeah, of 2024. And we did the photo shoots and everything for the cover, and it was, like, awesome, but I got sick. Like, I got sick and I could still sing, but you could I guess you could hear that I was sick, like, you could tell it was, like, hard to sing. I was, like, forcing my voice because I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're only gonna be here once, like, we gotta get it done. There's no other," you know? So,
Are you
we
talking
recorded it.
sick like cold or sick cancer?
Oh, sick like cold. Yeah, like cold. I had
Okay.
like, I just had a cold. But yeah, so I recorded it and then we came back home and then we got the demo or the track and I was listening to it and I was like, "Oh no, I'm sick." Like you can tell, you can hear it and they had like auto-tuned my voice because I was sick and, auto-tune obviously would, like, help with that, but I just didn't love the way it sounded. I was like, "Oh, no," like so then I had ended up flying back and it was, like, super, like, last minute too, like, my decision to go back and I was nervous to ask Anna, but she's so patient with me and she was just like, "Yes, like, we want you to love it. We want it's your song. It's your call. We want you to like it."
No, and I think that the recording studio is probably one of the most vulnerable places to be. And just because, you have your headphones and you're hearing your voice back. And even if you aren't sick, it's just that kind of moment where you really do have the opportunity to do like 40 different takes at the same
Oh,
phrase, you know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And it starts to get to a point where it's not better, it's just different. But I think that it's so easy in the recording studio to just like come down on yourself. And so to be able to, as you know, the first experience that you had, be able to like have more opportunities just to kind of get things where you want it, because I absolutely agree. It's your song and you want to love it and to not feel rushed. So I'm glad that she encouraged you to just give it like what you needed to give it, which sometimes just takes extra time. And, that doesn't mean you're a lot. That you just puts you in a camp of basically every musician who's ever recorded their own original sounds. So I think that it just is a journey and it's a journey of self compassion and but I'm glad that through that journey you had some real support and got it to where you wanted it to be. And I can't wait for listeners to hear it. And I can't wait for people to hear more about the inspiration about it in a little bit here. But this podcast is a space for musicians and creatives, of all backgrounds and ages and genres to explore the real stories behind their art. So like as a teaching performing artist myself, I know the courage it takes to step on stage and share your original work. And the idea behind this podcast is to highlight people's stories and then hear some of the challenges, maybe some of that inner critic or some of the if you are somebody who struggles with performance anxiety, if you don't, that's awesome. But just kind of like pulling back the curtain a little bit, like do you ever struggle with any sort of inner critic or performance anxiety? And if you do, what does that look like? And how do you work with it? How do you move through it? What are some strategies you use?
When I was younger, that's when it was, like when I was always really super nervous to get on stage and to sing. I remember my first performance, I kinda just stood there and played with my shirt. I was, like, singing, and I was just, like I was so nervous. I didn't I was just, like, kind of twirling my shirt in my hands, like, my lower part of my shirt, and I was just, like, stiff as a board. But I had people tell me back then to not look at people, like, in the eyes, just to, like, look kind of above them, and that helped me for a little while, and then eventually, like, I kinda grew into myself, but even now, like, sometimes I still get a bit nervous, so I always take deep breaths before I'm about to sing, because 'cause that'll help with, like, the shakiness of my voice or, like, if I'm nervous. I always say a little prayer, and I'm always like, "God, I just ask for you to lead, guide, and direct me towards what you would have me be and remove my fear." It's simple, just simple, and it always helps me, and I take a couple deep breaths before, and I say that in my head. Yeah, and then I just don't think or yeah, and sometimes I act like I'm the only one in the room, which can be hard, but I think as time goes on, you can get better at it.
I love that. I think having those moments where you can really ground down and, yeah, just really feel your higher power and like just center before you go is just huge. Absolutely. And I really love that prayer too, because that ask to have that fear removed. It's just sort of like when fear is in the way, it's just you can't be the vessel that you want to be. Is there anything that you'd really like to share today that you don't often get the opportunity to about your inner world as a musician or
Mhm.
just as a spirit in the world, that you feel like maybe you want listeners to know about you?
I think a really big one is I mean, as an artist myself growing up, I've always been so critical of myself and so, like, picky how I sound or, like, even how I look, and now it's like, don't be so hard on yourself. I have to tell myself that, like, "Don't be so hard on yourself. You look great. Don't freak out over the little details that in the big picture probably don't matter. Don't be so critical of yourself because it's hard not to be as a singer or a musician or even just as a regular like, as a person.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up with all of that and to remember that it really is who we are that shines through. And I understand we live in a world, and I think that external beauty is meant to be celebrated as much as internal beauty. I also think that sometimes people conflate or confuse the word beauty with human aesthetically created like image. And I believe beauty really does radiate from the inside out. Like, you're such a beautiful human being inside and out, because and it's not, but it's not just because of what you look like. It's because of who you are, and it's because of what you stand for, and it's because of what you've overcome, and because of the energy that you bring. And I think, especially as somebody now in my, late 30s, I'm like, really digging into the fact that beauty only gets deeper with time, and it has less to do with how we look and more to do with how we feel about who we are. And so it's just really cool that just at your 17 years of age that you already are learning that, because it's just like that's going to make you like an extra powerful force in the music world, to be able to maybe transcend a little bit of the garbage that is needing to look a certain way. Because I really think if we all just embraced what we uniquely are, it would just make the world a much more interesting and beautiful place. And like, I love to do my makeup, I love to do my hair, but
And
there's
that stuff
like
is so
also a,
fun, you know?
and it's so fun, right? But it's like to emphasize what I have, not to hide it, right? And I have to remind myself. So I think it's just like a really cool reminder. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and fast forward a little bit. What are some of your wildest musical goals? And in like in detail, kind of explain to me like what, and it doesn't have to be like I want to, it doesn't have to be
Eh,
specific if it's not, but
mhm.
yeah, what do you wanna do with your music?
I mean, my music is a lot about my experiences and what I've gone through and pushing forward, and I've always just wanted my music to help people, even if it's just, like, a small crowd, but I've always wanted to tour, just go on, like, a world tour. I think that'd be, like, the craziest thing ever. That is, like, has always been my biggest goal, just sing for, I don't know, millions of people if I could ever do that. Like, if I ever got there, that would be like, "Wow, I did it. This is what I always wanted to do," you know?
And what message would you wanna carry if you were touring the world and performing for millions of people? What kind of message would you wanna share? What kind of feeling would you want your audience to walk away with?
Comfort, something to make people feel less alone and just relatable. I mean,
Comfort, that is beautiful. I love that. Well, I'm excited for your future audiences. It's going to be, and the ones you've already touched, it's really cool. And I think when we did our meet and greet, you mentioned that you had met a gal in the hospital. I don't know if it was when you were also in the hospital, but you were talking about there's a girl who I don't know if you went and sang to her, or if there was somebody that you interacted with that was a child. Is this story ringing a bell? Okay.
yes,
Can you tell your story better than than me trying to dig
yeah.
around?
So, this was my Ryan Seacrest performance that where I performed Endless Ties. Yeah, I went and I sang in the hospital, and, she was a little girl, maybe about 7 or 6, and she came down and she was like, I love your song, I love your voice," and I was like, "Oh my goodness," like, I just wanted to cry. I was like, "I can't believe somebody loves my song." Like, it was just the coolest feeling ever.
And she was in the hospital too.
Yeah, she was in the hospital.
Well, I'm sure the more you walk this path of music and growth and everything that you're doing, the story of what you've overcome will continue to inspire people who are either going through cancer or other serious illnesses, or folks who maybe have had to go through it themselves, or a loved one, right, who has gone through it. So I think that carrying your story and then helping others believe that they can do it too is just a really beautiful thing that you're going to offer. Even if I know like having cancer was not a gift, but all of the effort that you have gone through to be where you are is going to pay off all the more because of what you've overcome. So I'm really happy to hear that you're already inspiring people. So, okay, I was chatting a little bit with Anna, and it sounds like you have some more original music that is going to be released through TTA Sounds that you're spearheading. It sounds like you're the trailblazer with Anna for this. When should we expect to hear some of your new releases?
Soon, I'd say. There's no specific dates quite yet cuz recently like I've still been going through some of my chemo treatments cuz I don't know if you knew this, but I did get re-diagnosed. So it's almost been a year since my cancer came back. I'm cancer free again, so we're good. But it's just been like we released Endless Ties during all of my next round of treatments, so it was really chaotic, and that's also when I went to New York to sing at Fashion Week. I was actually about to start one of my rough parts of treatments, and I still was able to go and sing in New York, which was such a blessing and, like, the coolest thing in the world for me. I'm just getting out of the rough first year of my treatments, and now I'm in maintenance, which is where my treatments slow down. So, we're gonna start planning more things. So, yeah, stay tuned is what I'd say for now.
Absolutely. Well, people will absolutely be staying tuned because you are incredible and your music is so good, so
Thank you
beautiful.
so
Yes,
much.
absolutely. You are so welcome. Thank you. Is there any particular resource that has been helpful to you on your musical path that you could share with listeners, whether that is, a particular meditation, or if you have benefited from therapy, or if you have benefited from, a particular form of exercise? Like, was there something that you do specifically that really helps you stay in the right mindset that you might want to share
Mhm.
with listeners that they could try to maybe help themselves?
Yeah, actually a few things, like a really big thing throughout all of this, like all of the 4 years that I've been dealing with cancer is working out, going to the gym, staying active, whether that's just going for a walk or just doing something little for a couple minutes. Like I think staying active has really, really helped me physically and even mentally just get some mental clarity. Another thing is affirmations, writing your goals down on a piece of paper and reading them every day, and even vision boards, making a vision board. I remember I made a vision board and I put like, this is when I was like 13, but I put a Grammy on my vision board and I look at it every day and I'm like, we're gonna make it happen. Also, grounding yourself. This is something that me and my mom would do when I was younger. We'd always go outside in the grass in our bare feet and we would just stand in the grass and just staying in the things that you love to do if you can, doing what you love, trying to stay positive.
Absolutely. I think that there's something about just getting in touch with nature that really, really helps so much, and just ground us to the bigger picture. So, you chose to share your original piece, Endless Ties, and listeners will get to hear it in full at the end of the episode. Can you tell us the inspiration behind this piece?
Yes, absolutely. So it was a song to my older self. I wrote it when I put myself back into the shoes of my older self before and during the really heavy parts of going through chemo. Yeah, I wrote it to myself about staying strong. It's just like in basically becoming a better version of yourself, shedding off old skin, bringing the new.
Mm. Can you share some lyrics of the song so people can like point to that when they hear it?
A piece of you is hiding while part of me is dying. I knew you wouldn't stay the same way.
That piece of you is hiding, while part of me is dying. I knew you wouldn't stay the same way.
So I wrote that basically like about how when something really hard or crazy or traumatic alters your life, you become different. Like for me, getting cancer, I seen how fragile life is. That completely changed me as a human, as a person, the way I think and what I do. And in the chorus where I sing, I wish I knew the words to save you, because I'm so blue and I know that I can't carry you through.
I wish I knew, I wish I knew the words to save you, 'cause I'm so blue, and I know that I can't carry you through.
That's basically just me wishing I could tell my younger self that I'm gonna be okay, that it's gonna work out. It's hard, but you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. I love the idea of writing a letter to your future you, or a song to the future you, and that things will not stay the same and that you will be forever changed, but that you are all the better for it, and so much stronger because of everything. I can't wait for people to hear it, and I think it'll hit so much harder with people understanding the inspiration behind this piece. And I just know down the road, when even more incredible things with your musical journey, you're going to carry this magic you have inside of you. Like, it's like this, almost like this secret strength that is going to bring you such power when you perform, and it's going to bring people comfort. Like you said, you're already bringing people comfort just by being who you are. And you are such a positive, bright light in the world. And I love that you keep choosing to stay positive, because that's a choice. And we can get all caught up with all of the hard, terrible things in the world that happen on a macro level and on a micro level. And it's not to dismiss that those things are really hard, but I think being optimistic is believing that the best could happen. It's not that the best will happen, but the best could happen, and that the best will happen in our lives if we keep choosing to believe that our higher power has our best interest in mind, however we define that, and that everything that's placed in our way is meant to shape us for the better and to help us to evolve. And I've had a lot of people say that, being positive is being naive. And I'm like, no, being positive is a lot harder than being negative. Like, being optimistic and looking for the bright side of life is actually way more difficult, especially for people like you who actually have gone through some serious, serious stuff. And you're still choosing to be like, no, I have my affirmations, I have my goals, I have my vision board, I have my exercise, I have my dreams, I have my people, like, I have my music. I mean, yes, it's not to dismiss all the hard things, but like, it really actually takes so much more effort to stay positive. So don't ever lose that. It's your superpower. It's your superpower. Okay. Well, I am really excited for everyone to hear this episode. And just in closing, how can listeners connect with you and follow your work?
Yeah, so I'm on all, music platforms, and I'm on all social media platforms. Yeah, social media platforms, and all of my usernames are just my name, Emmalese Schultz, and my music platforms are also Emmalese Schultz.
Okay, awesome. So, listeners out there, get in touch with Emmalese, and we'll make sure to put all of her streaming platforms and handles and every way that you can get in touch with her in the show notes. Emmalese, thank you so much for joining me today on Artistry with Heart and for sharing your journey and heart so openly with us. You truly are an inspiration. For listeners out there, if you're someone who is currently battling cancer or another serious illness, please remember that you are not alone. Remember, you can reach out. I don't know, Emmalese, would you be open for musicians who might be going through something similar to get in touch with you just for inspiration? Is that something you'd be comfortable with? Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So, listeners out there, if you're somebody who is struggling, reach out and drop a line to Emmalese, and you can always connect with us here on Artistry with Heart and share your story. As you've heard through Emma's journey, we are so much stronger than we realize, and none of us are meant to do this alone. It takes a village, and we are part of yours. To listeners out there, you can find wellness and mental health resources on my website, stephaniebernards.org. Remember, this podcast exists to support musicians and creatives of all levels, genres, and walks of life so you can thrive both on and off the stage. And if something in today's episode resonated with you or you'd like to go deeper, check out our Patreon linked in the show notes or at stephaniebernards.org. Well, that is all for now, my wonderful friends. Until next time, be you and stay inspired. And now the full version of Endless Ties.